cloud, boom. All right, we're recording. Go ahead.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you to week 2 of the Carteret County Public Library's Entrepreneurship Business Seminar Series. Tonight, Bob Graham is with us, and we are going to talk a little bit about customers.
Yep. So I want to set, thank you, Leslie. I want to set the stage looking back at last week. Last week, if you didn't get to it, I encourage you to go back and look at it. You can find the link. What we did last week was we talked about your vision, what you were trying to do when you formed this business, when you were thinking about business. It was all about you. It was me, 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 me. And so many business people think that me, me, me is going to get them customers. The problem is, if I want customers, I have to be you, 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 you. So with Leslie, for instance, I've done some workshops for her. I've talked to her. We've stayed in contact. She tells me about a situation. And I go, hey, you described this situation. How can I help you with that? Or here's a way I might help you. And I replicate her language. So what we're going to talk about tonight is how we figure out what our customers want. Okay? And I want to talk about something that my partner in this Renegade Success Network and Ring of Renegades, Tom Brush, and I came up with, which is what is real. Okay, so what is real? So I want you to write on a sheet of paper. Hopefully you have a sheet of paper, a pen or pencil. On the left-hand side, I want you to put the word real, R-E-A-L. And then I want you to put an equal sign. I'm watching Leslie do this. This is fun. And I want you to, on the right side, I want you to put 3 words with a plus sign between them. Knowledge, experience, and perspective. So real equals knowledge plus experience plus perspective. Now let me walk you through that. First of all, we all have knowledge. Last week, we talked about what your knowledge was. You saw a problem, you think you have a solution, whether it's a wellness business that runs a little differently than most wellness businesses, or business coaching or consulting that really focuses on the information, being a resource, or a librarian. All those are your knowledge base. Leslie's gone to college, she's run libraries, she knows the library world inside and out. There's not a question about a library that she can't find the answer to. That's her knowledge. She also has experience. She's worked in what, 5 different libraries now?
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while.
Okay, so she has that experience. So when she came to her latest position, I know she drew on her experience at other libraries. Oh, well, we had a similar problem. This is what we did. And it worked or it didn't work. And then the third one is perspective. We all have a perspective. My perspective is that I can help people. I can help entrepreneurs. I can help them grow into business. Hey, how are you? Oh, she's connecting. There she is. I love the background. Hey, good to see you again. There she is. Now you're with us. Good to see you again.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing well. We're just getting started. You're right on time.
Perfect.
So we each have our own perspective. I see the world a certain way, and no one sees the world I see the way I see it. So it may be a political perspective, maybe a social perspective. I was talking to someone the other day who came from Canada, and they thought that the lifestyle in the mid-Atlantic, I live in Baltimore, is so much faster than the lifestyle they knew in Vancouver. They're like, you guys should just run, run, run. In Vancouver, we're more laid back. It's like, yeah, chat for a minute, then you order your coffee and you wait for it. And they're like, in Baltimore, it's like 8 people are behind you at the Starbucks. Where's my coffee? Let's go, move, move, move. That was their perspective. My perspective was, that's Baltimore. I've lived here my whole life. I'm used to it. When I go to Richmond or North Carolina, I'm amazed at how slow everything is. They talk slower. They move slower. They ask you how you're doing today, sweetie. And they don't mean it like, don't answer. They want to know. those perspectives affect us and how we look at the world. And in business, we have a perspective. We know what we're trying to do. So last week we talked about our own reality, what our own knowledge, our own experience, and our own perspective is. This week, I want to talk about what our customers' knowledge, experience, and perspective is. So our ideal customer, and I'm going to use the word, a marketing word, because I've taken some marketing courses and taught a little marketing. A big word in marketing now is the word avatar, AVATAR. An avatar is an embodiment of your perfect customer. So believe it or not, for my business, my perfect customer is an entrepreneur, either starting a business or has been in business, and they're trying to figure out their way and they're struggling. They're hitting roadblocks. I don't know how to do my finances. I don't know how to manage my time. I don't know if I should hire my first employee or not. My avatar are those things. You each will have an avatar in the next hour. We're going to walk through some questions to get you to that avatar. So let's start right into it. Am I making sense so far, Leslie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good, good. You had to look like you were either deep in thought or I'd put you asleep.
I'm already creating my perfect library page.
Nice. And by the way, if you get a name for this avatar, it just pops into your head like Successful Susan. Don't be afraid to assign it a name. There's a lot of research on avatars that when companies have like 3 or 4 avatars or one avatar and they give it a name and all the employees know that name, they start to look for it, they start to see it, and they start to experience it. So the first question that's going to help us get to our avatar is, what do people come to you for? What do they come to you for? And really be specific, not because they need their car repaired. No, they come to me because they have a muffler problem. They come to me because they have a knock in their car and they don't know what it is and they're afraid that it's going to take their engine out. They come because the tires are it's pulling to the left. An accountant, do they come to you for taxes or do they come to you because they want to make sure they have enough money for their kids when their kids go to college? Those are very specific avatars. And the more specific we can be about that, the better off it's going to be. So Leslie, just saying to get knowledge and resources to help them have a better life, not going to help you. They come because they don't have access to the internet. I see people in the library all the time. That's one of the big drivers for a library. They don't have access to internet, so they use the library. They don't have access to job resources, so they go and look for jobs. They don't have a understanding of where to find the books they're looking for or the information they need. Or kids don't have someone to help them get their homework done. Their parents are latchkey or their parents are out of the equation, so they go to the library, talk to the librarian. Hey, I have a paper due in 3 days, if you're lucky, and I need help figuring it out. I'm sure you've dealt with all those, right, Leslie?
Absolutely.
And then you have the person probably who wants to read the latest John Grisham book.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, the book came out Tuesday. Where is it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we haven't gotten our copy yet. It's coming on Friday. No, I came here for that book. Where's the book? Yeah. Those are very distinct audiences. And the more specific we can be, the better off you're going to be. Jenny, is that making sense? Would you like to share with me 1 or 2 of the things that people come to your company to deal with? And real quick, tell us what your company does for those who fell asleep in the last week. I know you do wellness in the UK, as you would call it. In my world, it's England, but your world, it's the UK.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that everybody there is a bit confused because there's so many names. There's like Britain, Great Britain, UK, England.
Britain, I didn't even think about that.
Many. So, when it's those drop-down menus, you've got to go through like, is it G? Is it U? Is it B? Is it, yeah.
Not thinking about their user when they make that.
Never thought about that. I love that. See, this is one of the things in terms of thinking about an avatar. That's a great example of something where what Leslie just said, how can you make it easy for the customer? If they've got to do that drop down, what is the easiest way? If I'm going down and I see B for Britain, that's going to make life a lot quicker than if I've got to go down to U for United Kingdom. I say that as a guy in the United States who believes that every time there's a drop down, United States should be at the top.
Also, I think that English people also think that England should be at the top as well, just because it would make it easier for us, really.
Of course, it's all about us, right?
People need to make a decision.
As I say that, that's the thing about your customer. It's all about your customer. And so much of what we think in businesses, it's about us. I came up with this brilliant idea. I'm solving all the world's problems. Why aren't people buying from me? The reason is you're not talking their language and you're not telling them what they need to know to understand how you help them. So what were one or two, Jenny, if you don't mind sharing, what are one or two of the specific things people come to your company for?
Yeah, so the first thing that came into my mind was community and connection, which I think is quite broad. But we have tried to provide as many ways, accessible ways and universal ways as possible that people can stay connected and have systems of support, so that when we run live things, that they're able to come to the live things, which is also another one that I wrote down, that a lot of the stuff is live and not recorded. So it's motivating for people to come to live stuff than to self-motivate if they're not feeling good about themselves. And then to be able to come to the live stuff and in between feel like they have a support network of people that can share, they can share with, or just know that there's others.
Can I ask you a couple of questions so we can narrow? I'm gonna give you, which one would you rather narrow? Community or, I forgot, I totally blanked on the other one. Connection. Which one would you like to, which one's harder to narrow down?
Maybe community.
Okay, so when we talk about community, a couple of questions for you. What is it that they're lacking in their current environment that requires them to need your community? Really specifically.
Community.
Let me see if I can put words to it. They don't have people to talk to. They don't have a social circle that validates them, that they can share with, that they can grow with, that they can, when you have a bad day, you can share with them. Leslie and I spent a couple of evenings working together, and there was a point where we went out and got drinks, and it was really clear to me at that point that Leslie needed someone to talk to. I listened for a couple of hours and it was like she was displaced from her world, and I felt like I'm so thankful I could be that person. As you think about that, Jenny, does that feel right in terms of what they're experiencing?
Yeah, for sure. I think, of course, like we created it when we saw the need at the beginning of last year, and we were trialing it and doing the research and development through the year. And a lot of the feedback, of course, was that people couldn't even leave the house. So the aspect of community was completely gone from physical reality. And so being able to connect with people online is a minefield. But also, if you're more geared towards wanting to develop your health and well-being, it's difficult to find the right places. And even in your own communities, if life was normal and you had your circle of friends, if you've got to the point in your life where something's pushed you either mentally, physically, or emotionally to need a transformation or a change in your life, or you already have and you want to learn how to deal with it, then that group of people, so your community and your network, it's still there, of course, and it's perfect, but it's not exactly what you need for that moment in your life when you're changing and you're transitioning to a different understanding of yourself and your reality, that they belong in a different section of that life, and you need to surround yourself with different people who have similar experiences and perspectives that you do.
And goals, right? I mean, I assume one of the things that your wellness takes on is meditation. And there are plenty of people we can run into that you mentioned meditation, like, really? You sit there and stare into space for 10 minutes in the morning and that's supposed to clear your head? And you're like, yeah, you don't get it. That can be devaluing. So as we find that community, and I would tell you, Jenny, just for my 2 cents, when people get to the next phase, I don't want to say back to normal, but when they have the ability to be around other people, you're going to have to reinforce the strength of that community, that they're like-minded people. And I say that as someone who's building a community myself, and we are already giving that messaging to them that, as you get more into your social world, there's a place for this. Not because we want to get rich. I mean, I'd love to get rich, don't get me wrong, but because I think there's a perception among most people that we're going to get back to normal and we're going to go back to the way it was a year ago. And unfortunately or fortunately, we've all changed in the last year. I'm a different person. Everything about me is, I'm going to be doing a lot more Zoom meetings with a nice green screen and my fake background. That's just reality. And for me to think else any other way is crazy.
I'm struggling with that now. So, and I knew it would come to this, and any service that we have provided now will be expected going forward. So right now we allow people to call in and we will take their items to the car. We are never
going away.
Yeah. And the
you're,
minute
you're like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A never did delivery. Now the genie's out of the bottle.
Yep.
And it solved a consumer problem. And once the consumer sees their problem solved, they're not going to be like, oh, never mind. I see where that really costs you a lot of money. And Leslie, having your staff come in and out, it's really inconvenient because now I have to staff with 2 more people. That's not their concern. Their concern is, you brought the book out for me in the pandemic. It's raining on a Tuesday afternoon. I don't really care. Have your person drag the book out to me.
It absolutely has happened. That staff have had to go
I'm
out
certain of it.
But on the flip side too, when you think about your customer, right? So I've seen, and I've taken books out to cars of a mom with toddlers in car seats napping. And it's like, of course I'm going to bring you the item. You should not disrupt those children out of their car seat and get them cranky so that you can come in for 5 seconds, grab your book and go. So why weren't we doing this before? And at this point, I've decided any new library construction project I'm a part of is having a drive-through, period.
And there is a beautiful answer. And as you think of it, in my head, I'm going, why wouldn't libraries have had drive-ins 20 years ago?
Why haven't we been doing this the whole time? I have no idea.
But we lived in a world where, and I don't mean to say this about all libraries. I'm not criticizing your library or anything you're doing, but we become complacent.
Absolutely.
We get in a routine and it's like, well, everyone can come in and get their book. We've got a nice parking lot. It's well lit at night. No one's thinking about that next thing. Like, boy, it would be really convenient because unfortunately for the business owner or the leader of an organization, customer convenience comes at a cost. Yeah. If you've got to have 2 employees schlepping books back and forth, that means you have an extra person working that night. You've got to pay the salary, you've got to pay the benefits. Now it costs you. And that's where it gets tricky. But when we really focus in on what the customer is looking for, what I see in companies I work with is they can make shifts. So maybe the drive-in library opportunity means that instead of being open from 11 to 8, or whatever hours, you're open from 1 to 7.
Yeah.
But drive-through is available, and you make trades. This is what we do in business all the time. We figure out what's the most important thing to our customer. How can we deliver it affordably? And that's one of the things I want to say. I didn't talk much last week about money, but as we think of this avatar, success in business is when you can do something to make more money than it costs you. So Leslie, and I know if a drive-through is cost prohibitive, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
If it's a security risk, it's not going to happen. If schlepping books out to people and God forbid someone gets hurt because someone drives into them, you may never do it again because we're not going to assume the liability.
Right.
That is done. And so we've got to, as business leaders and owners, really think about what are we trying to achieve and what does our customer need from us? Not just what do they want, what do they need? Because my customers want, I'll tell you, plenty of entrepreneurs I've talked to about working with them, they want what I do for free. You mean you have all this knowledge and you're not going to give it to me? I'm struggling with my business. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. If you call my mortgage company and make the mortgage go away, I'm golden. They're like, what? I'm like, Quicken Loans wants my money every month. They don't really care how nice a guy I am. Fix that and your problem is solved. But we've got to think about that, and it's some horse trading. And it's really calculating. And also, I think for a lot of businesses that are starting out, it's what can you do now that makes the most impact? And then what can you scale? What can you add to it? Because you're never going to be in a place where you don't have to keep making changes. Leslie, you know, and I know the library is going to keep changing. We went through a phase where, you know, we went to what? Audiobooks, then we went to Kindle books, and, you know, oh, the card catalog is gone. I don't know if you have one anymore. And Google's going to replace all the search. And we've had that, and we see it in radio and TV, you know, satellite radio is going to replace radio, and mega churches are going to replace all the small community churches. And we see this over and over and over. And the businesses and organizations that succeed are constantly going back to this question: what does my customer need from me? And how can I deliver what they need? Not always what they want. Because Leslie, I'll tell you right now, what I want the book to be on my doorstep.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the library. I don't want to go to drive-through. I want it on my doorstep. Oh, wait, guess what, Bob? You can get that with your Kindle.
Yeah. Go
to Libby, put in the information, wait 3 weeks, and boom, there's my book. I never left my house.
Yeah. Oh, no, listen, if we're thinking about my avatar and what I can do, I would have a drone delivery. Like, I'm right there with Amazon, because let's face it, Amazon is my competitor.
Yeah, and that is a great point. But is that cost prohibitive?
Oh, yeah.
And if it's cost prohibitive, what is it about the drone that Amazon uses so effectively that you can get close to in another way?
Yeah.
So could you have someone deliver books in a car into specific communities on a certain day? Or could they take it to the school parking lot and deliver it at 3:30 when the kids get out of school and the parents are there?
Yeah.
You know, and thinking about those, how do I try to capture the essence of what someone else is doing? And often that kind of innovation sparks creativity. And if you think of the businesses, look, Chick-fil-A, I mentioned them before, they're closed on Sunday. That's the silliest business model. If you'd said that to me 50 years ago, I would have said, never going to happen. That's the craziest thing. Although 50 years ago, most businesses weren't open on Sunday. And so that's Chick-fil-A. When Starbucks started, I'm sorry, $4 for a cup of coffee? I buy it at the gas station for 50 cents. At McDonald's, it's a quarter. You're going to charge me $4 and you're going to put all this stuff in it? And that's one of the most, I see a mob of people get that every day. So what was it? What did Starbucks do that made that work really well? It's an experience. When you go into a Starbucks, you smell the smell, you hear the sounds that you're in this really cool coffee place. You're not in the gas station where you don't know when they poured that last cup of coffee. You're not worried about the water that they used. When you go to Starbucks, I mean, they've got the temperature. They'll tell you, oh, when it gets to 210 degrees, that's when we do it. And after 30 minutes, we're taking it out of the machine and we're making more. They have a whole experience. And then they have their soundtrack, right? The Star Trek soundtrack, or I'm sorry, the Starbucks soundtrack. That's Star Trek, that was funny. Designed to be a specific kind of music. They've built that whole experience around the idea that they want to be a luxury item. And I think most people, I don't have a Starbucks cup, but if this were a Starbucks cup, hard to see. I walk around with it, it's a status symbol. You walk into work at 8:30 in the morning telling everyone, I got enough money to buy Starbucks. I'm that guy. I don't need to have pretty socks. I don't need to have a pretty tie. I don't need to have a cool shirt. My Starbucks mug does it all for me. And this is what our customers come to appreciate. That's why they'll spend $4 for a cup of coffee, because of the experience and because of what it says. And Leslie, you have clients, people, patrons for the book, for the library, that they like going to the library. It's economical. They reuse books. It appeals to them. It's the way my kids did it. I did it when I was a kid. The library was so great. My community, it's such a great resource. Other people are like, I'm only going to the library if I have to. That's the last place I want to be. And knowing those differences about people, and to the person who never wants to go to a library and they're going to buy books on Amazon, you can't, that's not your game.
Right.
That's not your avatar. The
Right.
more you worry about that, the less successful you will be. The more you think about, hey, what can I do here? How can I help the people that come in the door, that go out and get their cars on the street, and ask them, hey, we're bringing the books out to you. How's that work for you? Oh, it's great. What would the next thing, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you want us to do? I'd love you to bring books to my house. How would that look? I mean, I ask my customers all the time, how would it look? You and I talked about this workshop series. Leslie, how would this look to you? Well, here's what I want to achieve. All right, let me take it. Here's my proposal. I listened to you. I had a real good idea of what I wanted to do, but it wasn't going to work unless you were invested in it. So it's like, tell me about your community. What's the need? What's the budget? How can we move this forward? Is this the greatest entrepreneurship workshop series in the history of time? No, it's not, but it meets the criteria that we set. And so the next question I want to ask you is, what will happen if your customer doesn't have you available to them? What will happen to them, both good and bad? If the library disappears, if your online wellness operation folds tomorrow, what do I lose, Jenny? And if you say nothing, either you don't have something worth people's time and it's going to fizzle out anyway, or you haven't thought about your customer enough. So I'll give you a couple seconds to think through that, because that's not the easiest question. And I'll give you an example while you're thinking, and for those of you who are watching this later, my company does some business coaching and business training. If I didn't exist, I know there are about 15, 20 businesses that would have failed. One of my clients told me he was going to fold up within 2 weeks had I not come in and said, hey, you know what? I can help you with your problems. So in a community where I think having small businesses is very key to vibrancy and opportunity and all those things, I know that without me, companies would disappear. Without this workshop series, people who had entrepreneurial ideas would not be able to achieve them. They wouldn't be able to think about these things. They'd just be sitting there going, I don't know why no one's buying from me. I don't really understand why my pricing is, I'm the cheapest guy in town and no one's buying from me. It's more complicated. So that's mine. Leslie, do you know what yours is?
I think if we didn't have a library system that was patron focused, people would get taken advantage of. Right? There's a lot of job seeking help online. There's lots of things online available to people if they have internet access, but it comes at a cost and it's not exactly authoritative or reputable. there are people who will help you do things. There are services where you can send a fax or make a copy, but often it's cost prohibitive, and people who are already at a disadvantage for whatever reason, if it's socioeconomic or if it's logistic or whatever, they would get taken advantage of. And there were a lot of people who would get left behind because they don't have the access that they need to succeed in a marketplace that is primarily digital. You have to file your taxes online now, but yet the internet isn't a subsidized utility. I mean, it's just,
Right.
yeah. It's
Well, and one of the others that jumps out at me is the ability to find information that I'm pretty good at finding stuff, but there have been times where I've had to go to a librarian and say, I'm trying to find this statistic.
Yeah.
I've gone here, 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 and here, and they're like, oh, wait, I have this resource. And it's like they go into the dark world that only a librarian can know. And then they come back with more information than you could ever imagine about a topic that you just wanted one fact. And suddenly they've opened a folder of information to you that suddenly colors everything. I've had that happen a number of times. And not just when I was doing research papers, but just like I was really interested in a topic. And I go, like, I'm really interested in this topic, like, why is it that New York wines were super sweet? Well, next thing you know, there are 5 newspaper articles, a magazine piece, and I'm literally answering the question. And the librarian's so excited to share this ability to find this because that's important to them.
Yeah.
And important to me. So to me, that's one of the things that we would lose. Now, one of the things we might gain without a library is more time to do other things. Now, I'm not saying that's a plus, but I was binging can you binge a book? I don't know if that's possible, but I was binging a John Grisham book in the last 2 weeks because some library system makes me read it really fast. And I was giving up other things to read the book. I'm really behind on Lupin and some of the other TV shows. What is it? The one with Katherine Heigl. I can't remember what. Firefly Lake.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's good. Guilty pleasure. So I apologize for that. It's probably ruined my credibility. But as we think about what people lose, that's really important. And last week we talked a little bit, and I didn't go too deeply into it, but what do you lose if you're not doing this thing that's important to you? What do you lose? Because it's not just your customer who loses, you lose. I love what I'm doing. This is the best thing I could be doing at this moment in the whole entire world. Love it. I would be so sad when the pandemic came and I didn't think I was going to be able to speak for a while. I was sad. I mean, I was in mourning. I'm like, oh, I so love being in front of people. I love sharing knowledge. I love helping people. I love to travel. I think for a lot of us, the pandemic really has helped us understand what we stand to lose when our life is radically different. I was talking to someone yesterday who's like, I just want to go to my office and have a birthday party. I just want to eat cupcakes, have someone blow out the candle, and everyone stands around and they make jokes and someone spills the cake on the ground or on their pants. I just want that. I was like, wow. I had forgotten how just comforting in a community of people you work with that is, that you can share the water cooler jokes and, oh, Bob, geez, you're going to eat 3 cupcakes. Yeah, you're right. Probably will. And we've lost that. And as a business leader or owner, really thinking about what your customer loses when things aren't available to them and what you lose, that's what carries me through the hard days. That's what makes me press on when I hit a really big roadblock. And it's like, oh, I can't figure this out. I'm done. I give up. I'm going to find a full-time job and be on my way. And then it's like, wait, hold on, time out. What about all those business owners, your customers who are counting on you? What are they going to do without you? And I'm like, oh, shoot. and then I figure it out. And I think that's really important for us to keep in the back of our heads. You know, how do we figure that out? And how do we deal with that? So let me shift to another question. If you've had customers, because not every business has customers yet, but if you've had customers, describe your ideal customer. So Leslie, for you, the perfect person who comes into the library. And I don't mean just, I want you to describe them in every single way possible. Do they wear a hat? Do they wear a skirt? Do they have 2 kids in tow? Did they drive a Subaru or a pickup truck? I want you to really getting in. I want you to all but draw a picture of it. If you don't have customers yet, I want you to envision that customer. What would that customer look like? You know, for you, Jenny, if they're accessing it through their phone, are they an iPhone person or a Droid person? Do they have the latest iPhone? Or do they have one that's 3 generations old? Are they scamming Wi-Fi at the Starbucks? Or are they willing to use the cellular data for it? And I'm being dead serious because those are different people. And what are they doing the rest of their life? Do they have families? Do they go on vacation? Do they have Sunday dinner as a family? That ideal client or customer, if you have it in mind, I have a customer of mine in mind, I could describe them to a T. And what's interesting is when I do that, other people fit much of that. And we tend to attract a certain group of people into our business. This is why, if you believe in the law of attraction, that there's enough business for all of us. You know, I know plenty of business consultants, coaches. I don't have a problem with that. If you're the right fit for them, if you fit their avatar, yeah, I want you to work with them. It's going to be a better fit. I've got my avatar, you've got yours. And some people are like, oh, there's not enough. I'm going to, you know, there are only 50 people that buy this. Leslie, there are 1 million people that get books every year. Some go to Amazon, some come to you. Some do both. Many do neither.
Yeah.
And so really thinking about that person, you know, if they walked into your business, or Jenny, if they got onto your website and all, what would be going on in their background? And are they coming to you in the evening after a day of work? Or is this 10:30, I need some meditation time? Are they doing yoga at noon like my wife does every day? She takes a half hour from work and she does yoga. Is that who they are? Are they really athletic people? Or are they kind of so-so? Are they the person that's going to happy hour Friday and having a couple of drinks? Or are they the person who's drinking smoothies all day long and would never even consider putting alcohol in their body? And if you don't know these answers,
Yeah, this is hard.
start asking people. Leslie, ask people in the library, hey, I'm really curious. What are you doing right before you come here? Oh, I was at work. Or, you know, I pick up the kids and we come to the library. Or, you know, hey, what got you to want us to bring books out to your car? I need something for my kids. We've looked at everything on Netflix, known demand. We're going down some bad roads. I want them to have books in their life. We need to get back to family time, and books are great. Or, you know, I've got a nephew who hasn't read a word in school in a year. His mother started going to the library and getting him library books just because she wanted him to have to read. She's like, you're going to do a book report for me every week. Pick the book. I don't care what book. It can be about Pokemon. but you're going to write me a book report at the end of the week. It's going to be 2 pages long. Tell me what you learned from the book and all that. Once he started into it, it was great. The benefit of this is if you can really understand who your customer, who your client is, you have this ninja power. I mean, I can talk to small business owners about their issues because I know what their issues are. And when that, oh, so where are you? And things, oh, we're about here. Oh, are you at a point where you're taking a salary? No, I haven't gotten there yet. Oh, wow. How far off is that? Oh, it's probably another 3 months. And they go, wow, how do you know that? And I've figured out the signs. I've figured out, the time of day that they want to engage with me. And it's so powerful when you can know those ideal people. And what we're really getting at, just to tie it all together, if you were getting a little disjointed, we talked last week about your knowledge, experience, and perspective, what's real for you. Now we're talking about what's real for your ideal customer. What's their world and how do you fit into their world? Because if you don't fit into their world, you're not going to make a sale. You're not going to get them to come to your library. If the library were open from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., 7 days a week, it would be a different experience. There'd be some people who come into the library, but I bet they'd sleep.
Yeah.
Certainly an option, but probably not the right option if you're trying to help people acquire the resources they need. If you're trying to provide them a sleeping place, yeah, absolutely. But again, that's available elsewhere. And really thinking about that. What does that look like? How does that feel? And what do they feel when they're engaging with your business? What does a patron feel, Leslie, when the book they want is there? Like I'm doing a lot of online books through your library, and there are 2 books that I'm dying to read. And I check every day to see how long the hold is. When I get those books, and I'm hoping I only get one, not both at the same time, I will be so excited. Your library will be so valuable to me. Now, could I go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon and get that book right now? Sure. Do I want to spend $27? No. And I kind of like the fun of when's it going to come? And I've got 10 or 12 books on hold, I guess up to 10. And the next one that comes up, it's the next book I read. And the one after that. And it's kind of like a radio station to me. I have a little control, but I don't know what the next song is going to be. And I like the unpredictability. And I also like that sometimes I get information about books, or I'm scrolling through and there's a book that I would never read, but it's available.
Yeah. And
it's like a serendipitous moment. Like, wow, I never would have read this book, but it's there. Like I read Ready Player One a couple of months ago. So not the genre I would ever read. Read the book, it was amazing. Liked it a lot. I can be narrow-minded with books, so that's the kind of thing. So that experience for me, reading a book that I never thought about, or reading a book that takes me to a new experience in the world that I've never been through, is amazing. That's what makes me support libraries. That's what makes me be a patron of libraries. That's what makes me vote for their bond issue. Because I know the value it brings to me. And when your customer knows the value that you bring to them, they will support you. How do they support you? They spend money with you. They tell other people about you. Yeah. They give you information. One of my clients said to me, my best customers are the ones who complain. I was like, what? He's like, they care enough to tell me what we're not doing right. I love them. I just want to like give them a big hug and kiss. I'm like, don't you get upset when they call? He's like, no, I want to know that thing. I can't know what they're going through. You know, if you stop doing the handing the books out in the parking lot, taking the books out, I guarantee you 20, 30, 40 people complain to each other. They're not going to come to you. You're going to hear it through the back door. Someone's going to write a letter to the local newspaper complaining about it. You're going to be like, really? Why didn't you come to me?
Yeah.
The more we know what our customers want, the more we prevent that. I really believe that my customers that believe in me want me to succeed. If it's a horse race, they want me to win the race. And when I tell people that and they go, I have trouble getting referrals, I don't have trouble getting referrals. I just go to clients and say, hey, I feel like I'm doing great work for you. Oh, yeah, Bob, it's great. Who else do you know that could use what I'm doing? And they go, oh, I'd love, yeah, I've got a friend. Do you want to go to lunch with him? Let me hook you up with this person. I have one of my clients who's connected me with 4 entrepreneurs. Perfect clients. And he says to him, Bob's changed my company's life. He can do the same for you. And they go on the phone. It's always the same thing. I don't really know why I'm talking to you, but this guy told me I need to talk to you, so I'm talking to you. I'm like, oh, well, what's going on? Well, having some trouble with this, trouble with this. And it's like, oh, that's why I told you. That's what I help companies with. Oh, I didn't know anyone did that. We often don't know. One of the things that's really hard for us as business leaders and owners is our customers don't know that they have a problem. They don't know that they have a problem. And why do I say that? Jenny, there are plenty of people that have sore necks, sore backs, are very sedentary, depressed, not sleeping well at night, not eating well, gaining weight, avoiding the doctor. They don't know that your solution for them, 30, 45 minutes a day, little wellness focus, could change their life. They think a pill is going to be the answer. Or if I take a vacation, or if I switch jobs. They don't know. I marvel at the number of people who are like, I didn't know people helped you with these things. I hear that from people all the time. How many times, Leslie, does someone come into the library and they're like, I didn't realize that you could help me
that
with
I could
this.
do this at the library. I didn't know I could check out DVDs. I didn't know that you had digital material. I didn't know that you had a fax machine.
We don't know. We as consumers, we as people in the world, often don't know the problem we have and the solution we solve. That's why if you can match the language of your customer, that's when they start to realize that you're the solution to the problem. When you can mirror their knowledge, experience, and perspective and play it back for them, that's when they start to realize. When you say, Jenny, to someone, yeah, you know, I've talked to like 5 people this week with that same problem. They're not sleeping, they're eating all bad food, it's all junk food. They're watching TV all night, and then they're getting up at 6:30, taking a shower and trying to be awake all day at work. And by 2 o'clock, they have to take a nap. You say that to the right person, they're going to be like, oh my God, you're living my life. You're like, no, I'm not living your life. I want to solve that for you. And if you know their problem better than they know their problem, you are the solution. It's not a sales call then. I don't do sales calls. I just tell people, hey, you said you had this issue, this issue, this issue. I work with people in this way. They have very similar issues. Do you want to learn more about that? And they go, hell yeah. I don't do a sales call. I don't. So I'm Bob, and I can solve all your problems. It's going to cost you $50,000 a year. I've never done that. I don't want to do that. I am so opposed to a sales call. That's why this is the approach I take. I want to get to know my customer better than they know themselves. I want to be able to say to them, with all honesty, hey, that sounds really tough. I've got some ideas on how you might be able to get past that challenge. Really, you do? And I'll give them the big picture. Yeah, it sounds like you need some accountability. Sounds like you need some focus. Sounds like there's some time management issues here. I've worked with a lot of people on those things. Would you like to talk about what that might look like? At that point, they always say yes. Now, in fairness, some of them will get squirrely and be like, after you tell them, hey, I can help you with this, they really don't want the solution. They're scared of what might happen. Oh, whoa, you're going to make my dream come true? I'm not prepared for that. So I've got to talk to my wife or my husband. I've got to see if I have finances. It's not really the right time to do this. Oh, could you lower the price? You have to charge for this? Yes. Because your commitment requires you to put some money in. You know, why should I have all the skin in the game?
Yeah.
And that's part of the discussion. Like one of the big discussions I have with people all the time, and I've learned it from working with my customers, is they'll go, I can't really afford this right now. I'm like, oh, okay. Do you have family members that give you Christmas and birthday gifts? Oh yeah, every year, my mother, father. How much? A couple $100. Have you ever thought to talk to them about, hey, I'm trying to run this business and it's really hard and there's this guy that can help me. And if you could give me a couple $1,000s, I think it would make all the difference in the world. And when you die, you're going to leave me $222,000. Wouldn't you rather see me use a little bit of it now to get what I want so you could see me happy and thriving? Or, hey, you know what? Credit card interest rates are so low right now. You're talking 2, 3, 5%. If you believe in yourself, you put it on a credit card, and in 30 days, we're going to make such a difference. Paying that back's not going to be your problem. You really think so? So I know my customers. I know what challenges they're going to present, and I'm finding the answers to them. I'm giving them options. I'm not telling them what to do. I don't say put it on a credit card, but I certainly say, you know, a couple of my clients have put things on credit cards. It floats it for 30 days. Even if they pay interest the first month, it's not a killer amount right now. Other people, it's like, oh, you said you left a job. Did you get a severance? Oh yeah, I did. Have you used it all? No, I've still got about half. Would you like to invest in yourself? I know my client well enough to know which of those typically is the right scenario. And when I give them that option, they go, wow, this guy really understands me. He gets me. I need more of him. And for you, Jenny, if it's mostly online, that may seem like this doesn't make sense because you're not talking to them, but you are talking to them. You're talking to them through the images that they see on the website, the graphics, the design elements, the colors, the language that you use. In some ways, it's easier. I would rather have an electronic discussion with the customer than a verbal discussion, because electronically I can massage it, get it right, and we can do A/B testing, and let's make it green, now let's make it light blue. We can do all that. When I'm talking to someone, if I blow it, I got to learn from it and then go find someone else. So, but it's the same principle. How do you make someone feel comfortable? So one of the things I do, the FAQs on my website, take on every challenge. Every complaint that someone says, oh, I don't have enough time for coaching. Okay. How much time are you wasting a week not being efficient? Oh, 10, 15 hours. Oh, really? And you can't fit an hour in with the guy who's going to make your life easier? Really? And I've written that out in a way that resonates. What if I don't like working with you? You can stop at any time. I'm swatting the flies. That's what I think of in my mind. I'm swatting the flies very quickly. And what I know about most of my customers is It's not those issues. It's a fear of something bigger possibly happening. So what is that thing? What is the real deep, dark concern that is causing your customer to come to you? Leslie, what makes someone come into that library? Because you got to get, it's an effort. You got to hop in your car, you got to take the bus, you got to get a ride, you got to go when it's open. Now, right now, of course, I know your libraries aren't open as much as I'm sure are they fully open?
They're we're 9 to 5:30, so we don't have evening hours right now. So it is hard.
It's even harder.
It's even harder
to do it. So if someone makes that commitment, that's a big ask.
Yeah.
If they're making that commitment, what is the underlying issue that's driving them to make the decision to go there? Jenny, what is the number one thing? What's the underlying thing deep down, dark inside their heart that makes them go to your solution? Are they afraid of dying? Are they afraid that, do they get to the day where they're like, I can't live this way any longer? This is not working for me. I've lost way too much weight, way too much sleep. I yelled at my child the other night, and by God, I can't do that anymore. What are those really core things? Because when we know those core things, we don't have to use them, but it helps us to write messaging. And so much of this, how we deal with our customers, is the messaging. We'll talk a lot more about it next week. But what's deep down inside? Are people coming to you, Jenny, because they want to lose weight? Are they coming to you because they read an article or they saw something online like meditation will change your life? Or I really like the idea of wellness. I like the idea of being well. I don't know what that means. Knowing that will help you as you build things out, as you move forward, as you scrutinize, what are we going to do next? What's our next big innovation? What's our next big strategy? What's our next big thing we're going to give them? Because you always got to be innovative. If you can know what that thing deep down inside, that thing inside your customer never goes away. So many of my clients are scared that someone's going to figure out that they have no idea what the hell they're doing. Does that sound familiar, Jenny? I have it every day. It's called imposter syndrome, and there's a great deal of research on it. Leslie has it probably, even though we all do. We are afraid it's a house of cards, and we know that someone's going to come in one day and be like, you really don't know what the hell you're doing. And we live in fear of that all the time. And all my customers, all my clients have that fear. I really don't know what I'm doing, and it's just work, but I don't know what I did, and I don't know what to do. Please help me figure out what to do. They want me to hold their hand. I'm their pal as they travel down the road. I'm the one who says, that's a stupid idea, or that's a great idea. They could do it themselves, but they don't like that because they're fully accountable. And what's great with my clients, when something goes right, I told you, when something goes wrong, Bob, what were you thinking? I just let go. Okay. So what is it with the people you're dealing with? What is that thing that they won't tell you that deep down is bothering them? My partner in all this, Tom Brush, calls it the 3 a.m. question. When they wake up at 3 a.m. and can't get back to sleep, what's that thing that's beating them up? Oh, I need to go back to sleep. I can't stop thinking about this. One of my clients told me he woke up in the middle of the night every night, worried about paying his mortgage. Another one told me that he was worried that his employees would do damage. They were doing auto repair. And he said, one of my guys didn't put the lug nuts on and the wheel came off and the person crashed their car. And so it's telling because this is a person who has the best safety system in place. He's got check upon check upon check upon check upon check. Too much of it. And getting at that, hey, 6 checks is really costing you a lot of time and money. What if you got down to 3? No, I'm really concerned that something is going to go wrong. Helping the person through that. The first time you go to the library, imagine what that's like, especially if you're an adult. You have this perception everyone knows what to do at the library. You walk in there, you have no clue. You don't know where to go. You don't know what to say. You don't even know what the librarians look like. Or you think of them as like, your 3rd grade teacher, the 77-year-old woman who, looks like she's about to die. And then they see you. She's not a librarian. She just must be a customer. And then you go, I'm sorry, can I help you with something? Yeah, I am the librarian. Oh my God, you're not what I thought, right? I bet people say that to you all the time, right?
Yep.
That's those types of things. And how do you make that person feel comfortable? How do you identify? How does your staff identify that person the minute they set foot in the door? So rather than them floundering around for 10 minutes, not being able to find what they want and getting frustrated and walking out the door. Hey, we love to do an orientation. I don't know if this is your first time in the library or you've been here 20 times and we've moved some stuff around. I'd love to help you figure out what you're looking for today. How's that sound? Oh man, that's awesome. Damn, that's better than Barnes & Noble. And by the way, if you could be better than Barnes & Noble at it, how great would that be? If you were better than Amazon, I can get the book I want. There's nothing on the shelf next to it. There's not the other 19 John Grisham books that I might like to read. It's just the one I bought. So saying to the person, hey, here's our John Grisham collection. And by the way, I've read most of these, or I've read 3 or 4. This book is awesome. The Memory Man series is just brilliantly done. And if you like John Grisham and you run out of John Grisham, here's the other guy. This guy's actually, David Baldacci makes John Grisham look like a pedestrian.
Yeah.
That kind of discussion. And for you, Jenny, when they go to the website, how do you help them be oriented right away? First time, click here. Experienced wellness person or whatever, however you would describe it, go here. And you see a lot of websites now orienting people at the very beginning. The other thing that does for them, one, it helps them get their customers in the right bucket. But second, it allows them to follow the customer. With the analytics, with Google Analytics, you can look at that customer and say, oh, this newcomer came to this page, then they went here, then they went here. And you start to understand, oh, boy, 80% of our people are going to diet when they're newcomers. But if they're experienced, they're going to meditation. That would drive me to change the whole business going forward. It's like, oh, experienced people, we need to really hammer on the meditation. On the new people, it's diet. And I'm just making that up. But using that data and using those things to really look, and plus figuring out how many people click on first time. Are you getting new people? Or do you have a button that says, discover what wellness is? And you see that 60% of the people that go to your website click on that button because they really don't know what the hell wellness is. And you take them to a page where there's videos, where there's all this information that rather than not knowing what they're doing, suddenly you're giving them the background information to make it possible. Just like Leslie last week was so nice, she gave us that great list of all the resources. I wasn't going to tell you all this, but she outdid me. There were about 6 in there that I had never heard of before that I'm now trying to look into. It's a great gift. If you did not look at those list of resources, every single one of those books is worth investing your time. If you're on that entrepreneurial journey, Leslie did a great job of finding books that will give you various facets of it, how you can think about it. And so much of entrepreneurship can be acquired by learning how other people did it. You know, I read the Steve Jobs book by Walt Isaacson, and it was so amazing to hear how frustrated he would get. I want a glass screen on the iPhone, damn it. He'd fire people if they couldn't do it. And the thing I took from it is he believed it could be done. He knew it could be done. And he kept going back and saying, do it, do it, do it, until he found the people who could do it. It's revolutionized phones. And in 450 pages, I read that book, and he wasn't really good with his daughter. He wasn't really a great boss, but he had a vision. And he put everything into the vision. And I read that book and I was like, wow, I have a vision too. But am I in like Steve Jobs, or am I just faking my way through it? And that really changed me in how I look at it. It's like, I'm going to do what I have to do to make this thing I believe in work. My glass screen is different than the glass screen, but it exists.
Yeah.
What questions do I have from you?
I think my follow-up will be for those watching, and even for Jenny. If you didn't notice, for those of you that are local, if in that resource list, the titles are hyperlinked. So if you click on it, it takes you directly to the library catalog where you can check out the title. So please do that. There will be more resources from the library as we move through the subsequent weeks. The library has access to online databases that will help you find your customer. They will do market segmentation for you. We also are going to host, after this seminar series at the beginning of April, we're going to host trainings on how to use Google business software that is free. So for those of you that are thinking, I can't afford to invest, I'm having trouble with overhead, because these are real issues, Google does have an answer for you. And we're even going to have a certified Google trainer from Google facilitate some of the more complicated aspects of the software. I know a little bit about a little bit. There will be some of the sessions that I'm leading, but for the more complicated pieces and for very specific questions, you're going to have a Google expert available to you. So make sure you're keeping an eye out on the library's page, because it's going to be virtual and it's going to be available to everyone. Everyone is using that platform now, so the more you understand it, the better you can be. And another piece I'm looking at, if I hear it from my customers, which is you guys, I really like to look at and think about providing resources around human resource management. Are you going to bring on are you going to bring on employees? And if so, how to do that successfully, because employees can make or break you. And also some aspects around communication. You found your customer, how do you communicate with them? A little bit of marketing that I found successful. I was a member of the Public Relations Society and the Maryland chapter. So I've done a lot of work in marketing and communications. I did that for the city of Baltimore. I did it for the Federal Reserve Bank. So I feel like I got some chops on that, and I want to share that. And there are great resources available. We have database subscriptions available for free for folks to access digitally. So I'm going to show you how to find them, because I can tell you all about them, but if you can't find them, then it's not worthwhile. So we're going to have some information for you for that.
Can I ask you about one database? When I was teaching at Johns Hopkins University, I had students that were trying to build business plans. And there was a database that they were able to access that captured credit card information about spending habits. They were in buckets. So it'd be like automotive and movies and theater and restaurants and bookstores and fast food and fast casual. And for my students, it was a gold mine in terms of they could look in there and see what the average spending per person was for something. And it really helped them look at pricing.
Yeah.
And
There's
I was
some market
amazed what you
segmentation
could
stuff,
get.
absolutely. I will break those out because there are some really great market segmentation things that are
And it's great information. If you're struggling with pricing or you're trying to figure out what the landscape looks like, there was also a database that did a really nice job of capturing like the top 5 players in the space.
There are,
In
there's
terms
a lot,
of,
so yeah, merchant, there's a lot of great finding your competitor. So we can
yes,
do some work around that. Who else is already in that market segmentation? So you can look at, let's say you own a landscaping business, you're an HVAC contractor, you want to see all the Dun and Bradstreet entries for all of the other HVAC contractors in a zip code, in a county. And Dun and Bradstreet is the one that comes to my mind immediately.
yes, that's
great
one,
for
but there's another one, Hoover's, right? Is
We
part
have
of it?
Hoovers, and we have there's a couple. You're putting me on the spot.
No, I'm sorry, I don't mean to. I just, I think one of the things.
I did good to remember Dun and Bradstreet, so I feel confident.
If someone's looking for that kind of information, I'm sure you and your staff can help them with that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And anything. I had a guy just the other day. He was forwarded to me from the EDC. He needed a certain kind of form. And we have NOLO guides. I always recommend NOLO guides for folks. And it's the way it sounds, NOLO. And they have forms. NOLOs are written by industry experts. They're written by lawyers. They're written by people who, accountants. They write these guides for people. I've got
one in on that.
Yeah, I've got
Send me the
NOLO guides
link.
to the library on how to write a rental agreement with sample rental agreements, invoices with sample invoices, business contracts, LLC paperwork. All of that is available at the library through NOLO.
It's amazing to me how much of a resource a library can be. And information is power. The more you can understand, if you can understand the players in your landscape, if you can understand what people are spending per capita on something, if you're doing a wellness website and the spending per capita on wellness in a year is $100 and you've priced it at $1,000 a year, you've got a $900 problem. And that information is available. And I've worked with some companies where we've had to look at pricing and they're like, well, I think it should be this. It's like, all right, hold on. What are your costs? What's the reasonable profit? And then let's go out in the marketplace and figure out whether that cost will be sustainable. Because you can't turn a a person who spends $100 a year on wellness is not going to spend $1,000 a year on wellness very often. And if you're trying to attract that $1,000 a year person, you're going to do it differently. You're going to be giving them a lot of bells and whistles. And knowing that and trying to figure out where you fit in that hierarchy, and then Dun and Bradstreet looking at some of the other companies and looking at their websites and how they talk about their customers and the colors they use and the way they message and the way they schedule. I've been working with a company that's trying to move to online scheduling because all their competitors have online scheduling. You click on a button and there it is, and they don't have that. So you've got to call them. You can only call them starting at 8 a.m. I called one of their competitors, just, being that kind of guy, and said, hey, how many of your people schedule during the day? None. They all scheduled the night before. Makes sense. This was a junk removal company. No one's waiting until 8 a.m. to schedule a junk company. When it's 7:30 at night and you want that stuff gone, you're booking that. So those types of things, and they found that from going to their competitors' websites and going, man, everyone's doing this. We need to do that. And I think so much of success in business is not creating something brand new. It's finding the way to do something that people have understood in the past and doing it differently, doing it better. Starbucks makes coffee. Dunkin' Donuts makes coffee and donuts. Panera makes coffee and some fast casual food. They all have coffee. They're all getting the beans from the same places, probably. They might be roasting them differently. So thinking of a way to do something different, for Leslie, thinking of a way to do your library that competes with those other opportunities that maybe I know some libraries have brought in authors and really focused on that. There are a lot of different things to do, but really understanding that you have knowledge, experience, and perspective, which is your reality, and your customers have the same thing. Often you have more knowledge than your customers. How do you bridge that gap? And how do you help them understand that your knowledge can help them be better at what they want to do? And every one of our customers wants to do something different. Leslie wants to do something different than Jenny. And I want to do something different than both of you. But one thing we all want to do is build a successful organization, whatever that looks like, whether it's wellness, whether it's my company, that is the common thread. But we're all going to do it our own way. And there's no one who's ever going to do what Jenny does, the way Jenny does it, because there's no one that has her knowledge, experience, and perspective, and has her understanding of her customers, because you're going to understand your customers differently than I would. And that's what makes the opportunity. Being able to say, I'm different than all these other people. And that's why when people, I get this all the time from people, how do I know you're not going to steal my business idea? Like, first of all, you got a huge advantage on me, and I don't really care about what you're doing. That's not what floats my boat.
Yeah.
What drives me is my business idea, not yours. And if you've been thinking about it for 2 years or 2 months or 20 years, no one's going to catch up to you. There might be someone who does it differently. There are plenty of ways to do landscaping. You can cut the grass every week. You can cut it this way on this week and that way on the other week and make it look crisscross. You can do it with the lawnmower. You can do it with a big riding mower. You can cut grass in the rain. You can charge people a flat fee for the summer. I know a company that does that. They charge a flat fee. And if it rains more than usual, they have to cut more grass and you make money on the deal. If it doesn't rain enough, you lose money on the deal. That's their model, flat fee lawn care. They come out, they give you a number, and that's it. Not every time we come out, it's going to be $100 or whatever. That's their model. They did it differently. It's not better or worse. It's just their way because they saw no one's doing it that way. And they tried it on a whim. It was easier for them. This is one thing I was talking to them about. It was easier for them because there was less bookkeeping. Because they want to invoice every month. They were afraid they'd miss people. So they just charged them a flat fee. The people put it on a credit card. It got dinged automatically. Problem solved. Any questions? I've talked a lot tonight.
I had a question.
Sure.
Thank you for this, so much information. And Leslie, the library just sounds like Aladdin's Cave of Wonders. It's so amazing what you're doing for the community and the wider community of the planet as well, now that it's accessible online. I had a question about the customer. So I really like the idea of having the avatar of the customer or multiple avatars of different customers, because when I was writing it down for what we do, I think that there's a couple, 4. So I was wondering, once you've got them and you've named them and like you can talk about them and reference them in different situations. For example, if we are creating an ad or we're making something, a piece of content, then it would be directed towards one probably of those avatars.
It could be more than one. The ideal would be all 4 if you have 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you might embed language that if it's a person who's overweight, You might have something about people who are overweight. If it's someone who's trying to get into more of a restful sleep, you'd have some of that. It's not always easy, but I know when I work with companies on marketing, we'll have 3 or 4 avatars. My goal on the homepage is to appeal to all of them. If we're going to spend money sending out a letter, a direct mail piece, I want to appeal to all of them because I don't know which one each person might be. If I buy a list of people, and I don't recommend it, but if I buy a list of addresses and I mail a letter to 5,000 people, I have no clue which one of those buckets they're in. That's why if you have that website that can put them in a bucket and you can get their email address and track, this is a first-time person. Now you can target the email to that avatar. But until you know that person fits that, you can't customize it. And that's what you see. What's a good example? Athleta. The, what would you call it? Athletic casual clothing, Athleta, right? Leslie, is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah. Like,
okay.
Like
they have several different avatars.
Yeah.
Healthy women in their 20s and 30s, mothers who have had children that are trying to look a certain way. And then they even have a line for older women. And if you go to their website, I haven't been there in a little while, but it used to be that they oriented you very quickly. We want segmentation is critical. The more you can segment, the better off you are. But you can't segment until you know what you're segmenting, right? And you may find that you think it's those 4, but it's only 2 of those 4, and it's 2 others. You know, you might have people that are interested in wellness, people who have never dealt with wellness before in their life, and they just happen to find your website when they were doing a search for, my company has a wellness program, don't know what that is. My doctor said I need to be more well. And one of the things that I will tell you is if you go to Google, they have a keyword tool that you can access for free. Search for some of the things that your avatars would say and see how often people search it. Because if they're searching that a whole lot, like, what was the one the other night? Oh, my cat has diarrhea. We have a cat, and I was just, and weird thing, but I'm like, no one's searching for that. I was doing some keyword research, and I was like, I need something just random, and I put that in. That gets searched tens of thousands of times a month. I'm like, wow. Boy, if I wanted to do like a really quick website and make a little money, cures for cats with diarrhea. Boom. The avatar of those people is, I've got a cat, it's got diarrhea, I don't know what the heck to do, I'm scared, I don't want to call vet because that's expensive. Tell me what to do. We all have that solution available with what we do. So thinking about what keywords, what are the things, like my customers, like they use the word overwhelmed. Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I'm stuck. I just don't know what to do next. Those are phrases that I've researched. Those are phrases I use in all the marketing material I do. Or the variation, do you want to get unstuck? Do you want to have control of your day? Which is the opposite of I'm out of control, I'm overwhelmed. Do you want to be able to have a summer vacation? Do you want to be able to leave work at 5 o'clock and not worry about work for the evening? Yes, yes. Oh, that's me. I've done the research and I've asked hundreds of people, what's your biggest business challenge? Oh my God, I just always feel I'm overwhelmed. 3 people said that to me today. This was at a networking event. What's your biggest business challenge? You, Jenny, what's the biggest challenge you face with wellness? You'll be amazed what they say. It's too expensive. I don't know where to go. I don't trust the people. That would be gold for you. If you could find out what those top 3 things are, if you asked 100 people, you'd be onto something. And we have this great thing called Facebook and the internet where you can ask questions, do a survey of your friends, a poll on Facebook. I'm amazed what a poll on Facebook will do. And if you have a community of people with a common interest, they love polls that are specific to their problem. Oh my God, I get 100 people responding to some of the polls I do. They just love to see if their answer is the right one. Meanwhile, I'm using it to figure out my marketing. They're telling me the script. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
That was a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, and we will be able to get into some search engine optimization tips, tools when we start doing the Google platform.
Nice.
Yeah, those were some of the specific things that are available.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there for small business on that Google platform. Google Maps, there's going to be some training around how to help people literally find you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, either physically if you have a physical space or virtually. So.
And Google Analytics is such a great free tool. If you have a website, set up Google Analytics because you can track the flow of your people, page to page to page. It's amazing. And it'll even tell you what word, if they search to get to your site, what word did they use or words. Awesome and totally free. So Leslie, I think we've hit the wall. I think I've given way too much information. I want to give people just 1 or 2 things to think about for next week. One, really thinking about what those avatars are and then testing them. One of the ways you can test them is to ask people that you trust, your customers that you trust. Hey, does this sound like you? Or you can just say, hey, I'm going to ask you some weird questions. Can you tell me, how do you drive to the library? Or how do you get to the library? Oh, I take the bus. Oh, I get a ride. I get an Uber. Oh, okay. Those types of things. People love to talk about themselves. And one of the things I tell my clients all the time, blame it on the business consultant. My coach is making me ask these stupid questions. I'm doing this entrepreneurship thing and this guy's asking me to ask you these questions. So I need to ask you 5 really weird questions. When I say wellness, what's the first word you think of? Expensive. Oh, great. Awesome. Don't respond. Just write it down. If I could wave a magic wand to make your wellness journey amazing, what would I do? Oh, it'd be free. Hey, I would bet you get that answer. That person's acutely sensitive to money. So what's the free thing you give them? You make them feel like they're getting some wellness for free, and then you say, by the way, you want more of this? It's going to cost you. So really thinking about that avatar, playing with that avatar, and then next week we're going to talk about knowing what's real for you, your knowledge, experience, and perspective, and knowing what you think is real for your customer, their knowledge, experience, and perspective. Where do we find people that fit this avatar, more of them? And what the heck do we say to them? Because it's twofold. If you can't find them, you got a problem. If you don't know what to say to them, you got a problem. So we're going to tackle those 2 next week. And then the following week, we're going to have a really nice business roundtable. I can't wait. I hear some great people are lined up. You told me a landscaper, a construction person, and I'm sure a couple others. So that'd be great. And then the last week, we're going to talk about what, Leslie? I totally
Week 1, we're going to do some funding.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to talk
how
finance.
You can fund what you're doing. So everything from grants, loans, how you might be able to fund it yourself. I've run 2 businesses and never borrowed money except for like $1,000 here and there on my credit card and paid it back right away. So you don't have to be a multimillionaire to start a business.
Right.
And we'll talk about some of the tips and strategies with that. And I might even, if we have a little time, talk about how to get your first customer and get paid. Because for some people, you know, the first customer, it's amazing. Once you get that first one, they start coming more and more. The first one is the hardest to get. They tell me the last one's the easiest to get, but I haven't gotten that far. Thank you so much. This has been great. We'll be back next Thursday, 6 p.m. And until then, be well.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. I gotta stop the recording. That's good. Stop the